All right, everyone, lean in close and let's get real for a minute. Grab your coffee, pull up a bench, and let's talk about that one box of brass we all have stacked high in the corner of the safe. There is one absolute undisputed titan in the world of lead and copper. It is almost certainly the very first round that ever introduced you to the smell of burnt powder and the satisfaction of a falling plate. It's the cartridge that fills up those empty coffee cans after a long Saturday afternoon of ringing steel. In every way that matters, this little round is the bedrock of our entire American shooting culture. I am talking, of course, about the humble .22 long rifle. Now you see those 500-round bricks or those massive plastic buckets at the local shop, and you probably just think, cheap plinking ammo. You think it's basic. You think it's harmless. You think you've got its whole story figured out. But what if I told you that inside that tiny waxed lead, projectile is a narrative that's been unfolding for over 160 years? What if I told you it packs capabilities that would leave you speechless, alongside some cold, hard truths that most shooters would rather ignore? What if the most common round on the planet is actually the most misunderstood tool in your bag? Today, we are ripping the lid off. We are diving deep into the true giant of the ammunition industry. This is my breakdown of 10 shocking truths about .22 ammo that owners almost never discuss. Number 10. A living fossil from the black powder era. Kicking things off at number 10 is a fact that takes us all the way back to the smoke-filled days of the Civil War. This right here is why the .22 is the undisputed heavyweight champion of staying power. Here is the reality. The .22 rimfire is the oldest self-contained metallic cartridge still being manufactured on the planet today. The story actually kicks off back in 1857 with the .22 short. That specific round was engineered for the very first Smith & Wesson revolver. The .22 long rifle, the one we're all loading into our mags today, didn't even show up until 1887. Let that sink in for a second. The ammo you are cycling through your rifle right now is a direct living bridge to the black powder era. This is a 19th century design that hasn't just managed to survive. It has completely dominated the global market. It outlasted every single one of its early competitors, like the .44 Henry Flat or the .56-56. Sure, the powders are smokeless today, and the primers are modern chemistry, but the fundamental architecture of that case has been rolling off assembly lines for over 130 years. This is a shocking truth because it shifts your perspective. This isn't some modern, disposable toy. It is a genuine piece of firearms history that we still get to shoot for pennies. The upside? A level of industry standardization no other caliber can touch. The downside? It's a 19th century design with some very real built-in limitations. Number 9. It is engineered to be filthy. Coming in at number 9 is the exact reason your hands look like you've been rebuilding a diesel engine after a few hours at the range. The truth is this. The vast majority of bulk .22 ammo is dirty by design. It is a mandatory trade-off required to keep that price point exactly where we like it. Think about your centerfire rounds, like a 9mm or a .45 ACP. Usually you're looking at clean-burning powders and a projectile that is completely sealed inside a copper jacket. Bulk .22 is a totally different animal. Those bullets are almost always just raw, unjacketed lead. To prevent that lead from shearing off and fouling your rifling, manufacturers coat them in a thick, waxy lubricant. When you take that wax and combine it with the cheaper, faster-burning powders used in high-volume production, you get a mess. That greasy, gritty, black sludge is what you're scrubbing off your bolt face and out of your action. It's not a defect. It's a standard feature of how they produce affordable, high-volume ammunition. That is the why behind the cleaning ritual that every single .22 owner knows by heart. Number 8. The inherent reliability gap. For our number 8 spot, we have to address the weak link in the chain. This is the true Achilles heel of the .22, the dreaded click when you were expecting a bang. The shocking truth is that by its very mechanical design, rimfire ammunition can never, ever match the reliability of centerfire ammo. The reason is found entirely within the priming system. In a centerfire cartridge, like your 5.62 NATO or your 357 Magnum, the primer is a separate, self-contained little cup. It is manufactured with extreme precision and then pressed into the center of the casehead. It is incredibly consistent. In a rimfire cartridge, the priming compound is essentially a wet paste that is dropped into the bottom of the case. The case is then spun at high speeds in a centrifuge to force that paste into the hollow rim. That process is fundamentally less precise. If there is even one microscopic air bubble or a thin spot in that ring of compound, your firing pin strike isn't going to ignite it. And just like that, you've got a dud. This is why the .22 long rifle is generally crossed off the list for serious self-defense. It isn't a lack of quality. It's a mechanical limitation of the platform. Number 7. The ultimate Hollywood quiet. Suppressor. Host. At number 7, I've got some fantastic news for the guys who like to keep things quiet. The shocking truth is that the .22 long rifle is the single best suppressor host cartridge on the face of the earth. And the best part? You often don't even have to shell out for special subsonic ammo. The crack you hear from a gunshot is actually two distinct noises: the muzzle blast and the supersonic sonic boom of the bullet breaking the sound barrier. Most centerfire rounds like 5.56 or 9mm are inherently supersonic. Even with a high-end suppressor, you're still going to hear that sharp crack echoing downrange. But the .22 plays by different rules. Standard velocity .22 ammo usually travels around 1,100 feet per second out of a rifle barrel. But if you fire that exact same round from a shorter pistol barrel, the powder doesn't have enough time to reach full burn. The velocity drops significantly. The bullet fails to break the sound barrier, and it becomes naturally subsonic. You can take a standard box of off-the-shelf ammo, run it through a suppressed handgun, and get that Hollywood quiet performance for free. Number 6. The hidden danger of dimensional differences. Climbing to number 6 is a truth that hits right at the heart of firearm safety. The reality is that not all .22 long rifle ammunition is dimensionally identical. In fact, some of it can be downright dangerous if you put it in the wrong chamber. I'm talking specifically about hypervelocity loads, like the legendary CCI Stinger. To achieve those blistering speeds, the Stinger utilizes a brass case that is actually slightly longer than a standard .22 LR case. They compensate by using a shorter, lighter projectile. In a standard sporting chamber, like your average plinking rifle, it runs just fine. But if you try to chamber that round in a match or Bent's chamber, the kind you find on high-end precision rifles, that longer case can actually jam into the rifling. This prevents the bullet from seating properly and can cause a massive, dangerous spike in pressure the moment you pull the trigger. Always, always, read your manual, especially if you are running specialized hardware. Intermission. Let's hear from the range. We are halfway through the list, and I want to pause and check in with you guys. Every rifle has a personality. What is that one specific brand of .22 that your favorite rimfire just absolutely loves? The one that lets you stack holes all day long? Drop your go-to load in the comments below and let's see what the community is actually running through their barrels. Number 5. The chaos of lot-to-lot inconsistency. Number 5 is a lesson that every serious marksman eventually learns the hard way. The truth is that .22 ammo is notoriously inconsistent from one factory lot to the very next. Because the profit margins on rimfire are razor-thin and the production volumes are astronomical, the manufacturing tolerances can get a little loose. The exact powder charge, the physical diameter of the lead, and even the thickness of the priming compound can vary from one production run to another. This is exactly why a brand that shoots lights-out groups today might give you mediocre results next month when you go back to buy a new brick. High-level competitive shooters will actually buy dozens of boxes from various lot numbers, test every single one, and then immediately buy every case they can find of the one specific lot their barrel likes. It's a deep, complex relationship between your barrel's harmonics and that one specific batch of lead. Number 4. Primer-only rounds and the hidden squib risk. At number 4, we have the silent but deadly category, but probably not in the way you're thinking. I am talking about primer-only rounds, like the Aguila Colibri. These rounds contain zero gunpowder. The only thing pushing that bullet out of the barrel is the tiny explosive force of the primer itself. They are quieter than most high-end air rifles, designed specifically for short-range pest control or maybe some basement practice where allowed. But there is a major safety hazard here: the squib load. Because these rounds are so incredibly low-powered, it is very easy for a bullet to get stuck halfway down a long rifle barrel. If you don't realize it and you send a second round behind it, you are looking at a catastrophic failure that could destroy your gun, or worse. These rounds are strictly meant for handguns or exceptionally short barrels. Use them with extreme caution. Number 3. A failure that changed law enforcement forever. Number 3 is a very sobering piece of American history. The shocking truth is the pivotal role that .22 ammo played during the infamous 1997 North Hollywood bank robbery. During that massive shootout, one of the first officers to engage the suspects was armed with his standard service pistol and a .22 long rifle revolver as his backup piece. Every shot he took with that .22, and even his 9mm rounds, was completely useless against the suspect's heavy, improvised body armor. That specific event served as a brutal nationwide wake-up call. It was the primary catalyst that pushed American law enforcement away from revolvers and handguns as primary tools and toward the widespread adoption of patrol rifles chambered in .556. It remains a tragic, real-world lesson on the ballistic limitations of the rimfire round. Number 2. The economics of the ammo panic. The runner-up spot on our list explains why .22 is always the very first thing to vanish from the shelves the moment things get tense in the world. It's a perfect storm of human psychology and corporate economics. Psychologically, when people start to panic, they want to feel prepared. Because .22 is inexpensive, a shooter can afford to go out and buy 5,000 rounds in a single afternoon. Buying a whole case of .22 feels like a much bigger win than just grabbing 2 boxes of .308. Economically, .22 is a low-margin product for the manufacturers. When a panic hits and demand spikes, the big ammo companies shift their production lines over to high-margin rounds like 9mm and .556 to maximize their profits. The result? The training ammo we all need the most becomes the hardest thing on earth to find. Number 1. The ultimate paradox. Low energy, high lethality. And finally, we have reached the number 1 most shocking truth. After all the discussion about its unreliability, its filth, and its historical failures, here is the ultimate paradox. The .22 long rifle is a terrifyingly lethal cartridge. Let me be perfectly clear. It is a poor choice for dedicated self-defense because it lacks stopping power. It does not have the kinetic energy to reliably stop a violent threat instantly. However, its statistical ability to cause fatal wounds is surprisingly high. The secret lies in the inherent instability of that small, unjacketed lead projectile. That slow-moving bullet almost always destabilizes the microsecond it hits soft tissue. Instead of traveling in a straight line like a jacketed .45 ACP, it begins to tumble and yaw. It can bounce off bones like a pinball and travel in completely unpredictable directions, creating massive internal trauma along the way. This is not an endorsement for defense. It is a serious warning. There is no such thing as a safe or minor gunshot wound. The gentle plinker has a very dark side that demands our absolute respect and safety at all times. The .22 long rifle is a fascinating study in contrasts. It is a 19th century relic that is more popular today than it was 100 years ago. It's a simple tool for weekend fun, yet it remains a complex mystery for the best ballisticians in the world. Understanding these secrets is exactly what makes us better, more informed, and more responsible shooters. What truth did I miss? What has this little cartridge taught you over the years? Let's keep this conversation going down in the comments section. If you got some value out of this deep dive today, do me a huge favor. Like, subscribe, and comment below to help this channel reach more people. Stay safe out there, stay informed, and I will see you at the range. This is Gunsmith Forge.